So I think we can all agree that Apple is a pretty unique and somewhat polarizing brand. On one side, you have the absolute Apple fanboys who will buy literally anything from Apple and endorse it to their grave. And on the flip side, you have the Apple haters. And a lot of the people who don't like Apple have kind of a common argument. One of their main arguments is that Apple doesn't innovate, and they end up copying a lot of other brands. Now, of course, all brands out there copy each other. That's how innovation works. You look at what others are doing, and you make it a little better. But their argument is that Apple does this a little bit too frequently. And the new Apple AirTags that came out about 2 months ago are kind of a perfect example of both sides of this narrative. So this is a video about my 2 months later with the Apple AirTags, but really it's a video about Apple and how they're kind of codependent on both of those concepts there, from relying heavily on others' innovation, but also how they push industries forward and are such a significant player in the tech world. So like I said, I've been using the AirTags since they came out about 2 months ago, and in this video, I really want to talk a lot about what I really liked about these and what I didn't like about them, while also highlighting some of the key components that really make Apple so unique. Okay, so before we talk any more about the AirTags, I want to kind of take a step back and talk about why people might be saying Apple doesn't innovate. And as a side note, I have both an iPhone and an Android, like both of them in my pocket at all times, so I'm not a fanboy of Apple or Android. I try to just say things as they are, and I really like using both. But if you guys have one specific side, you can leave a comment below and let me know which one you like better, whether that is the iPhone or the Android. And with that being said, if you really like the iPhone, the good news is I'm actually hosting a giveaway. I'll talk more about this later on in the video, but I'm giving away an iPhone 12 Pro Max. And if you really don't like Apple, we're also giving away a OnePlus 9 Pro and, of course, a Samsung Galaxy S21. Partnering up with Versus and Gadgetbyte, I'll be talking more about that later on in the video, and there is a link in the description. But with that being said, what I'm trying to get at with Apple is essentially Apple a lot of times might be known for the not the most innovative company out there, but that doesn't mean they're not innovating. So one of the reasons that Apple might not be perceived as one of the most innovative companies, and to be clear, I do think Apple is a very innovative company, but one of the reasons they're perceived this way is because their image for an iPhone, or really one of their core principles, is that it needs to be a phone that just works. It's very reliable, very easy to use, and so because of that, they end up compromising a lot on not including some of the newest, most cutting-edge features. It might be a lower refresh rate screen, it might not have an in-screen fingerprint sensor, they might not have reverse wireless charging, like things like that are not included in the iPhone because they're relatively new technology, and Apple has this tendency to kind of wait back on a lot of that stuff and then get in the game later when they actually perfect it for their own devices. Now, that's not to say other devices didn't already perfect it, but that's just kind of a tendency we've seen with Apple. Now, on the flip side, the good thing about this is actually when Apple does get involved, they really kind of create a widespread adoption. And that's really where this comes in with the AirTags. So the AirTags are a very significant device because for a while, we've always had Tile and Samsung just came out with their own recently as well. And these are all great devices and they're all doing things a little differently, innovating, really doing a lot of stuff. And the thing that Apple really brought to the table here is their network. So with Tile, you really need to have the Tile app. But with the AirTags, especially in the United States here, anybody with an iPhone is going to be part of that network, and they will anonymously, and without even really knowing it, help you find your lost device. So the network of iPhones is really massive, and this is significant because although the AirTags are not necessarily a major innovation, they're using a lot of the other technology we saw, there's nothing especially different about them, but that network right there is something that is really moving the industry forward because it's going to force Tile and all the other brands like them to join and create bigger networks so that they can have this extra functionality to compete with the AirTags. Now, with that being said, let's talk a little bit more about the AirTags in general. Like I said, this is a video about what it was like using the AirTags for the past 2 months. You might have heard about the specs already. You might have heard about people shipping them, sending them in an airplane to North Korea, all types of stuff like that. But when it comes down to it, using it every day, there were some things that I really liked and some things that I really didn't like. So let's start off with the things that I really did like about these. I'm going to try not to talk about things that you've already seen in other videos, but some of the things you probably did see that I have to mention them right now. The first thing is the aesthetic of this. I think it's a nice, simple little design. I love how you have a removable battery. That's kind of rare for Apple devices these days. And the big one is that I love how this connects with the FindMy network. So if I connect this with my phone, I can check for the location on my iMac, my iPad, my MacBook. It doesn't matter what you're using, you'll be able to find this from any other Apple device you have. So that ecosystem right there is really a critical thing that's going to make it very, very easy to find your keychain or your backpack or whatever it is that you might be looking for. Some other things that I really like about this, of course, the water resistance is essential. IP67 means that you don't have to worry about this. If you drop your keys in a puddle or whatever might happen, you don't have to worry about this little $30 thing getting broken. And on top of that, like I said, $30 for one is not an especially bad price, but $99 for four, in my opinion, is a pretty fair price for what you're getting here. Now, getting into things that you might not have seen in other videos that I really liked about these is, first of all, this one I think is really, really cool. You're gonna like this. It's kind of a little trick here. This works as an NFC tag. So NFC is near field communication. It's a way that your phone can use, like example, Apple Pay or things like that. And so something really cool with this is that if you go on your iPhone and you go into shortcuts and you create a new shortcut, as you can see right here, you're able to use this as an indicator or a kind of a trigger for your shortcut. So I could say anytime my phone gets near my AirTag, you can start vacuuming my house, or you can call somebody or open up the weather or do whatever shortcut you want. And so having this as a nice little trigger gives you kind of an extra functionality since you're gonna be carrying it around on your backpack or your keychain. Like, I thought that was a really cool feature, and I love doing that. Now, granted, you don't need one of these to do that. You could easily do it with like another phone or literally anything that works as an NFC tag, but this right here, I think it's an added benefit there. Another thing that these do really well, they work with Siri, so you can just tell Siri to find it, and it'll start beeping, it'll help you find it. I think it's a really great way to make it a little bit more hands-free, especially if you have like an Apple HomePod or any Apple Home devices in your house. All of those kind of tie in to make this a really positive thing, and I really like the AirTag. But of course, like I said, not everything is perfect on here. There are plenty of things that I was really not happy about, so I'm gonna get into that right now. The first thing, and the absolute biggest one that I noticed a lot of people did not mention in their videos, is that this can't find my phone. If you look at Tile or Samsung's tags or literally anyone out there, they're all able to find your phone. And I mean, I'm somebody that, I try not to lose stuff, but to be honest, my phone, especially the iPhone mini, I end up losing this all the time. Sometimes it's charging in another room, sometimes it's in my backpack. I don't know where it is, but having no button on here means that I'm no longer able to find it with something like this. Like a Tile, I could find it, but with this, unfortunately, I can't. Now, you're gonna say right now, what about your Apple Watch? Yeah, I know. If you have an Apple Watch, you can definitely find it with that. But I mean, for $29, not everyone who can afford this is also going to be affording an Apple Watch because, let's face it, $200, $300, $500 is a lot of money for a watch, and finding your phone, it'd be just really nice if they put a button on here. Now, another thing that I did not like is that when you have your AirTag somewhere that your phone is not nearby, so if this is like in your car or something like that, after about a day or two or three, it just starts beeping randomly. Literally, anytime you move it, it will beep. And I get the idea for this is to let you know if somehow somebody else has ended up in your backpack, you'd hear it and say, what's that, and find it. But I thought it was annoying because sometimes if I am somewhere that I don't have phone service or my phone dies, say I'm backpacking or whatever, then this is gonna be beeping the whole time, and I think it's really, really annoying. On top of that, it's a big way to kill your battery. So if you plan on having this somewhere where your phone is not normally around, that's gonna be a major drawback. Now, a third thing is that although this looks really cool, it is something that can get scratched by other keys. Of course, you can get a little more durable case for it if you want, but it doesn't have a loop on there, which is a drawback I'm sure you already are aware of. And if you want to get one from Apple, you're gonna pay about the same price as your AirTag. You're looking at, a lot of them are like $30 to get some type of little way to clip this onto something. So I thought that was kind of a drawback, a little bit annoying that Apple didn't put a loop on here when they designed it. And my solution that I would recommend is actually this little loop right here from ESR. So ESR made these way cheaper. It's probably like a third the price of what you're gonna see from Apple. And I think it's a nice, simple, minimal design where it doesn't take up a lot of extra space. It has a nice little metal clip, and it's what I've been using with my AirTags. I love this design, so third parties, again, for the win, coming in when Apple charges a lot for their own accessories. So those are the things that I really liked and didn't like about the AirTags, but that's not even the most important thing to talk about. One of the big aspects of Apple's narrative recently is privacy. Apple loves to be the company that says they care so much about your privacy, so let's talk a little bit more about the privacy with your AirTags. And there's kind of two categories here. One of them is how the privacy is handled internally with Apple and with your device, and then the other one is your own privacy and security from external other people, for example. So starting off internally, it's really impossible to know exactly how private everything is with Apple, but one thing I did notice is that if you set up, say, a tile with your iPhone, you're gonna have a lot of permissions asked. You're going to go through a lot of things and accept like location and all these other things. And that's something that you don't have when you set up an AirTag. When you set up an AirTag, it's just set up and it's going to use all of the permissions you already gave your iPhone a while ago. So I wish they would ask again for permissions just so you know exactly what permissions you're giving for this little AirTag. But again, that's a small thing that you can really dig into on your own time. Now, externally, there is a very big dilemma here. And this dilemma is that Apple's still figuring out how to distinguish between a thief and a victim of being tracked. And what I mean by this is, if I took this AirTag right here and I put it on some random person's backpack, I could theoretically track them and see where they live. Now, Apple's trying to stop this by telling that iPhone that they're being tracked, and then they have the ability to disable your tracker right here, and you suddenly can't track them. Now, on the flip side, if somebody else took my backpack, and it had it in there, then it would also notify them, as long as they have an iPhone, that they're being tracked, even though they stole my backpack. And so what they could then do is disable my tracker, and I wouldn't be able to recover a stolen device. So this is kind of a delicate balance here, not only with privacy, but also with functionality, where it would be great if this could tell you if you're being tracked, and you could avoid that, but it would also be great if you could find stolen devices, or stolen items for that matter. And so because it's kind of really hard, like I said, to distinguish between a thief and a victim of being tracked, it's almost impossible for now to really solve that problem. So that's something you want to keep in mind with this device. But overall, guys, the Apple AirTags, after 2 months of using them, I really do like using them. I love having this, and I think it's a great device that's going to push the entire industry forward. Like I said, really forcing Tile and other competitors to create a more comprehensive network and really do better than they are doing, not only with their technology, but really with their network. But when you're comparing Tile and the AirTags, personally, I would prefer Tile because they have that button where you can find your phone. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please do click that subscribe button below. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Okay, so let's talk about that giveaway. Like I mentioned, I'm partnering up with Versus and Gadgetbyte. I'll have links down below to their channels, and we're giving away 3 flagship phones. It's free to enter, it's free to win, and all you have to do is go down and click on the link in the description and follow the instructions on that link. So it's going to allow you to enter in multiple different ways. If you follow on Twitter, if you retweet things, if you follow on Instagram, you're gonna get more entries and a better chance to win. But keep in mind, you can only have 1 of each entry per person. Duplicate accounts will be disqualified. So thank you for participating, and good luck.